Right, good afternoon everybody. Thank you for sparing the time this lunchtime to attend our Design Exploration Extension webinar. So I'm Lee Edmonds, and shortly you will hear the voice of Andrew Hansen, who will take you through the technical part of the demonstration. So really short agenda today. First of all, we're going to look at some of the current trends in the world of product development around concept design, why it's important to each of our businesses, and why getting the most innovative product out there can seriously help our bottom line. And then Andrew will take you through the technical part of today's presentation, where we'll take a deeper look at the new PTC Creo Design Exploration Extension. So just very quickly, let's just have a look at some of the things that are out there in the industry that are being said today about concept design and its importance in the product development process. So PTC recently did a survey, and they found that 92% of their customers, when asked, said that their businesses could benefit financially if they had a better platform for exploring concept designs. Now, whether it's totally a new concept, new idea, or if it's taking something that we've already made and modifying it for a different market, geography or application, it can be, in our traditional parametric tools, a very cumbersome task to experiment with lots of different ideas. These constraints lead us then to not maybe exploring all of those ideas that we have in full. And in turn, what that does is compromises the financial success of new product launches and reduces ultimately our market share. So if you don't start with a good concept, your product basically fails. Most of our customers want to generate more designs in the same amount of time so they can explore more options and then introduce more innovative products into their marketplace. Oddly, a major barrier to better concept design is actually too much technology. A lot of companies use lots of different tools and approaches to capture their concept designs. But often those tools aren't compatible with Creo or whatever other CAD system it is we use as our major CAD tool within the business. It's not unusual for the same designer to use alternative software for concept design and then switch to another for detailed design. And this all leads to inefficiencies and redundancy. The CAD data needs to be recreated, translated, and then we've got all the data management problems that arise, and ultimately we lose design intent. So the result of this is less time to invest in generating and sharing new ideas. There has to be, you would think, an easier way to explore more concept designs faster and more efficiently. So a common theme since PTC launched the Creo platform 4 or 5 years ago has been improving the concept design part of its process. So the concept phase basically helps you to determine whether your products are innovative, marketable, and importantly, how much will they cost to manufacture, and can we actually manufacture them? It helps your businesses to decide whether or not to invest the time, money, and resource in bringing that new product into the marketplace. So Design Exploration Extension, which you're about to see, is the latest piece of technology from PTC to help streamline and improve this area. It's something that we're all excited about here at Concurrent. So I'll hand you over to Andrew now so he can start the technical part of the demonstration. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you for that, Lee. And just before we jump into the live demonstration, I have a few slides that I want to briefly touch on. So let's go ahead and get started on those. So now when it comes to your current processes in product development, I want to throw a question out to the audience, and I want you to think about these as we go through this presentation. So how do you try out different concepts, or even different modeling approaches for the same concept? How do you handle complex designs, either in your own models or updates made by other users? How do you evaluate those different ideas and eventually implement those design changes to the final models? Changing a product design and exploring new ideas is a technical challenge, especially when developing complex systems with many interdependent components. Typically, these processes involve manual backups of models to folders, repeatedly closing and cleaning your Creo session, and manually revisiting and reviewing massive iterations until making that decision. So this is what it looks like so far in any CAD system. First, you'd back up your duplicate models to a separate folder to avoid risking the real designs being overwritten, likely multiple times if you want to try many different variations. Then you start working on those duplicates, and whenever you want to revisit different alternatives, you need to clear your session, change the folder, reload, and so on. And don't forget to take lots of screenshots for your PowerPoint presentations, because you probably need it for a design review later on. And soon enough, you end up with multiple directories in different folders, each has their own different iterations, and now you need to figure out how to manually get all that data from those different variations back into the real model and what goes where. So PTC Design Exploration Extension is targeted to address those common challenges that users typically face while evolving new designs or making extreme changes. It helps to streamline the process of evaluating new designs and deciding on changes to the design without risking the original model. And here's how it's done. First of all, it's a sandbox for your design, where you can play around with your models, risk-free, without worrying about messing up anything, and without losing any information. We start by creating a snapshot of the session content. From this point on, you and any modifications to the models can be safely reverted. Then you start changing and evolving your models and capture additional checkpoints along the design. You can then instantly toggle back and forth between those checkpoints in a click of a button. The system replaces in session for you the different model iterations as they were when you created that checkpoint. So you do not need to clear your session or change your working environment or manually change the versions of locations. The system automatically switches all model iterations for you as they were stored in the activated checkpoint. Once you're happy with certain designs, you can accept this checkpoint, and only then all those changes you have accepted are applied to the original models. So this allows you to split off into different directions, develop those ideas simultaneously, and evaluate all options before making any clear decisions. So now let's go and take a little sample of that within Creo Parametric. Within here, I'm going to open up a model of a chair design, and we're going to look at some design changes that I might effectively want to do within here. So one of the functionalities that comes with the Design Exploration Extension is the ability for update control, and this offers valuable capabilities to better predict any design changes. These come especially handy when working with top-down features like copy geometry or layouts, and in a complex or more sensitive design, a small change can lead to many risky or unexpected changes in the referencing of models. Now, with Design Exploration Extension, you can easily identify those potential impacts before they change the model, investigate them, and even try them before propagating the change. In this model, for example, it's using a skeleton that drives relations and geometries down to many interdependent components. To avoid unexpected changes, I'll set certain external copy geometry features status to manual updates with notifications. Automatic and manual replace legacy dependent and independent standings for the behavior of update options when the parents change their references. This notification option helps identifying those to get out of date both on the model tree and to easily find those in the notification center. So let's go ahead and do that. And with that change, let's go make some changes to the original skeleton model behind here. So here we can see with these changes that the speech was now showing in the notification center out of date options. Is I can go and see these, and these helps you identify those out of date both in the model and in the model tree by easily identifying them, taking you straight to where that information is. Within this particular feature is I can then go and have a look at the differences. So this way, you can either choose to keep it that way or update it. Even better, you can investigate these changes with previewing those changes and see them before and after the reference geometry change, and also isolate the graphics. If you like this change, you can then click and update and propagate this change to the copy geometry. If you're not sure, this is where you can initiate the Design Exploration Extension and explore the impact of this potential change on other areas within the model. To start to explore your new ideas, it will initiate the Design Exploration session and you give it a name. This is where all of my exploration ideas are going to be stored, and at this point the system creates snapshots of the entire session content into an initial checkpoint called pre-modified. A pre-modified checkpoint is created automatically when you start a new design exploration session. Pre-modified contains the original models that are retrieved at the beginning of the session that will enable you to have that path on a forward iteration, including the last one. Under the checkpoint, it contains all of the iterated models. This allows you to easily explore and evaluate the multiple ideas that your team can come up with simultaneously and manage the complex design changes safely and efficiently. So within here, I'm going to create some new checkpoints to keep that in mind. By adding a new checkpoint, you can set the properties for it. You can manage that checkpoint properties at any time within the design. And you give it a meaningful name to capture that information, as well as capture some comments within there. With this information can easily be searched to maintain that data. So when working within this particular environment, I can start to plan with changes to my designs. For example, I might want to change the number of wheels from 4 to 6. So within this environment, I'm going to go in and change that. As I move forward, I can create these additional checkpoints. Each checkpoint stores only incremental model changes since the last checkpoint. So here, I add that checkpoint and I give it that new name. A new checkpoint is always added sequentially. When you add a new checkpoint, it is assigned a unique ID number, but you can always modify the properties of a checkpoint at any time. Working with this as well is I might want to change the hand rest from a forward to a backward and look at creating a new checkpoint for that. So let's go away and do that. Again, very quick and simple, that change has quickly been captured within a checkpoint scenario. I might want to go back and reactivate a checkpoint at any time. When you return to a checkpoint, all open models are replaced in session with the versions from that active checkpoint. A new branch is created in the checkpoint tree, so when you add a checkpoint and the active checkpoint is not the latest, this will branch out into that tree. This enables you to perform the following operations of an active checkpoint: make additional changes and add a new checkpoint to that particular branch, view changes between the active checkpoint and other checkpoints, including the pre-modified checkpoint, as well as run some reports within here. So here we can see, again, another concept quickly captured for the information in which I'm looking for. With Design Exploration Extension, it also captures the creation of new models. So let's create a new part here for the headrest, and I'm going to use some of the nice functionality within Creo Parametric, that of freestyle, to help come up with that concept very quickly and simply within this environment. So now within the freestyle environment, I'm going to go ahead and create this particular shape that I'm looking for. So here's with one of my concepts that I've just decided to come up with, a very simple shape for the headrest. I'm going to capture that as a checkpoint information as I'm developing this particular model. Within this is I might want to make some more changes as I develop upon this, because I might want this to be a branched point that I can go off into multiple different directions. So again, at that part level, go in and let's change some information about it. Some very quick and simple changes within this environment. Again, I've got a bit more of a sportier feeling headrest here, so let's go away and add a checkpoint for that one. At this particular stage, I might decide that I want to explore a different option for this headrest. So a branch can follow a specific design path. Then a new branch, I can try a different design path. So you can create a branch from any checkpoint with one or more successor checkpoints behind that. And all these branches are always visible within the checkpoints tree down the left-hand side. So let's roll back to this headrest concept A. So I want to use that as a basis for looking at a different idea. So the model was easily rolled back, and now I can easily just go and look at my additional suggestion. So some very quick and simple changes here. Again, another concept of a design for a headrest that I've just come up with, so I can easily now add that as another checkpoint. So with this information at any point along the design, I can switch between checkpoints without losing that information. When you are ready to make a decision, you can accept the checkpoint with the chosen design and then return to the PTC Creo parametric session, where you can keep that entire session data specified in a specific file. All the model iterations along with the path to this checkpoint will be applied to the models from which you started in the design exploration session, or you can discard and return to the point of entry. So I can go away and I can look at my different changes very quickly and simply by changing and navigating my way through this particular design session. So maybe I might pick that my headrest concept A is a good design I want to work with, and I'm going to apply that moving forward. If you're not ready yet to make a decision or would like to have a design review by others, you can send this file so they can explore your ideas or even add their own. When the design is finalized, you can also keep these files for documentation purposes in case you may ask yourself, how did we come up with this idea? What was the path that we followed? Different design exploration extensions help you easily explore and evaluate multiple ideas simultaneously and manage those complex designs changes safely and efficiently. So let's just understand what happens with those file contents. By default, when entering exploration session, we do not back up a copy of the start models, but only store pointers to the original file locations, either in a workspace or working from a folder location. As you start making iterations, only modified models are stored. If you play around with only a couple of parts in a large assembly, we don't need to duplicate the entire assembly to be able to restore that design state, only the ones that were modified. The same goes for adding a component to an assembly. In that case again, we will only store a pointer to the unmodified file and just store the modified assembly object. When you're done and you accept the changes, only modified items are being updated in the original model. The remains rest untouched. All session contents is then stored in a single file, a TMZ file. This file is encrypted and compressed to avoid any mix of experimental data with legitimate designs. By default, only modified models are stored in this TMZ file, keeping it to a minimal size, as well as eliminating later name conflicts if original models are on a PDM environment. However, we do provide a setting to include full backups, including all initial unmodified models. Here is why. Say you want to share this content with other users, either before making a decision or for a design review. If the other user has access to the same file system, do not use backup. If you share with someone who had no access to the same file system or the original locations, you must use backup so we can properly load the same content. So to summarize the benefits of Creo 3 Design Exploration Extension, it will enable you to unleash creativity, evaluate all the possibilities, confidently handle consequences of complex design changes, interact with those design reviews, efficiently incorporate design changes, and document those decision-making processes. At this stage, I'd just like to pass you back to Lee, who would like to finish off.
Okay, thanks Andrew. Thanks to you all for giving up part of your lunch break today to see our presentation. I hope you found it of use and valuable. Whoever it was that invited you along will be in touch in due course to get your feedback and to understand how we need to work with you to maybe do a further and deeper evaluation of design exploration extension in the context of your own product development processes and business goals. The session has been recorded, so you'll be getting a link hopefully by the end of play today where you can go and download that, maybe share it with colleagues. So again, thank you for your time. If you've got any burning questions before we do get back in touch, you can always email us on sales@concurrent-engineering.co.uk or call the office on 0121 506 9720. Thank you all.